I believe there's a new earth energy causing a collective shift from a fear based mind to a mind of love, a mind where radical forgiveness and gratitude are the norm. So today, I want to talk about living above and below the line. Now, when I present this in person, I always would begin by drawing a horizontal line, and I would write love above it and fear below it. I then asked the audience for synonymous words. So let's start with love. When I would ask the audience, they would provide me words like harmony, kindness, happy, empathy, trust, respect. Every audience was unique, but never short of words. And I would always include conscious. Then below the line, I would write fear. And again, I would ask for words synonymous with fear. And I would hear hate, anger, jealousy, ego, assumptions. And again, I would include drifting. I use conscious above the line and drifting below the line as a reference from Napoleon Hill's book, Outwitting the Devil. In this case, the devil is not as commonly portrayed, but rather as dark energy that causes us to live below the line, in this case, and feeds on unconscious or drifting minds. Whereas a conscious mind that inspires, that creates, has no place for dark energy. My daughter Sierra introduced me to that book, and it really helped me at a moment in my life when I needed it. I've learned that books, videos, people, they all tend to come into my life when and as I need them. So, back to above and below the line. Every day we wake up, and throughout the day, we have a choice to reside again above the line or below the line. And I know through personal experience that it doesn't take much to find myself drifting below the line. There are many triggers out there, not only big ones like, let's say, senseless violence, but triggers can also be thoughtless actions of a family member, a friend, a coworker, or a complete stranger, such as a rude or reckless driver. And it requires great self-awareness and a conscious mind to remain above the line. And trust me, I fall below the line more than I care to admit, but when I do, I regain consciousness and awareness, and I know I don't belong there, so I recalibrate and bring myself back above the line, which is where I like to vibe. I'll give a personal example of how easy it is to drift. I remember I was at work, and it was a bright sunny day, so I decided to walk and get lunch. I was standing at the light of a busy intersection, and while standing at the light, I noticed a gentleman on the other side of the intersection, and he was in the distance facing me. And he appeared to be staring right at me and frowning, which I thought was odd. Why are you frowning at me? I thought. What did I do? And so I kind of, I did what people do, so I looked away. When I returned my gaze, he was still looking right at me, frowning. What did I do to this guy? I don't believe I know you. I don't recognize you. What could I have done to possibly upset him? Did we work together? Did I not hire you? Well, the light turned green, and we started to cross and head towards one another. As we approached, I remember I slowed down ever so slightly, awaiting for an engagement from him. Now we're right by each other, side by side, and in the middle of the intersection. And I glanced at him and waited for an engagement of some sort. And just then, nothing. Nada. Nothing at all. He walked right by me as if I didn't exist. And when I turned to look at him, and I turned my head completely around to the 180, well, the sun from that bright sunny day hit me right in the eyes, and I too began to squint and frown. And then I realized he wasn't mad at me. His eyes are like mine. They're just sensitive to the sun. And I had made an assumption. I was below the line. I made an assumption. And I just started cracking up. Do you know how many individual, collective relationships, marriages, partnerships, work relationships were all ruined because of assumptions? So again, I just started laughing. I was back to my happy, isn't it an amazing life self again. Well, the bystanders and passengers at the light must have really thought I was crazy standing there in my suit and tie, just laughing. And that is why it is so important that we do the inner work. There's a comical allegory that I like to share called the keys of wisdom, in which a person is desperately looking for their keys. The sun is shining in the room and they're looking for them in this well-lit area. Where are my keys? Where are my keys? A friend approaches and asks, "What are you looking for?" "My keys." "Where did you lose them?" The person points and says, "Somewhere over there." "Then why aren't you looking over there?" "Because it's dark over there." So you see, so often we look for solutions in the light, but don't come to grip with the dark. In order for us to collectively advance and unite the union of opposites, we must first search deep within our souls. You see, emotional intelligence begins with self-awareness. I, Harvey Johnson, must first recognize and accept the dark areas of my soul. Am I below the line? And if so, where? Am I angry, judgmental, arrogant? Do I hate? Do I make assumptions? What's my role as a citizen and human being to stand up for basic human rights for people, for our world? I have a large part in that, as we all do. I live my life by oneness, from the book with the same title written by Rasha. And someone once asked me, what does oneness really mean to me? I learned from many of my readings and teachers like Rasha, A Course in Miracles, Marianne Williamson, that if you study the human body, we know we're complex structures comprised of an infinite number of cells. We're made up of all these cells. And each cell is called to serve a higher purpose, a lung cell, heart cells, skin cells, so forth. Well, when a cell or group of cells ignores its higher calling and becomes maladaptive, we call that cancer. Well, we are literally made up of cells. And I look upon our global population in the same manner, that we are cells, each of us, that are part of a larger organism that we call life. When we're not working in concert with one another, respecting one another and our differences, it's sort of like the hand attacking the foot. The entire body feels it. There's no winner, only pain. Well, the same holds true for us. When we attack one another, there are no winners, only pain. When we are not being our higher selves, when we are below the line, we too become cancerous to society. My mother, Nellie Johnson, always taught me, it's not what happens, but how you respond that matters most. Well, to that, I say to each and every one of you, Ho'oponopono. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me and thank you. And thank you for listening to me. Peace.